You can see we've created a vertical profile right down the center of the head. We then have worked from the occipital bone out towards the corner of the client's ear, which will separate the bottom part of the back of the head away from the top of the head at the back. You'll notice that the client is currently stood up, as this is important when we're working with very long hair and we want to take the external length up, making sure their shoulders are completely balanced so we get a completely clean shape. Once we have our initial guideline from the left to the right, we can now take our next section above the occipital bone, taking a little bit more hair and bringing it down in towards the cutting line. You can see that I'm using the length at the bottom of the external shape and bringing it up, elevating it straight up from the head shape 180 degrees, so it allows me to see the guide and length that we're creating internally if it's going to reach and take away any of the external shape. We're going to be cutting a square line starting from the center of the head with our finger depth section running vertically down the center of the head at the back from the apex to the nape. We're leaving the length slightly longer than what the length would be if we were to cut it to the external line at the bottom. The way that we're doing that is by using lots of elevation, 180 degrees straight up from the head shape. Using the previous guideline as a guide, we can see that it doesn't reach to that length. So vertical sections, working from 2 into 1, 3 into 1, and 4 into 1, all the way down the side of the head, over directing it back in towards the center, meaning the further down you go down the side of the head with each section, the longer and more length that is being retained on the external shape. It's important that we keep our body position very consistent and we stand in the same position, over directing it always to that central point, making sure we have complete control with the wide teeth of the comb, and we're working with a good 80 to 90% wetness to the hair at this moment in time for control and beyond. We're going to be standing in front of the client, over directing everything to the center, meaning that we're using the length of the hair in the over direction to create a shorter to longer effect. To start with, we're going to be working with the paddle brush, really smoothing the roots and drying all of the roots out towards the center of the head and through the front. This is going to allow us to create a little bit of natural volume by going against the grain of the hair with the brush and then finally coming down and combing flat against the face shape. With the paddle brush, we want to create as much of a natural look as possible while smoothing the cuticle of the hair out so we can finish it off with a hot tool at the end to create the movement and bounce within the hair. Not only is it a good way to dry the hair in quite a natural state but still get the smoothness, but it's also a good representation for the client on how their hair is going to look on a daily basis, specifically if they're not going to be putting too much effort into styling it after it's been dried from us. Once we've finished with the hot tool, we can now put them down and we can grab a soft bristled brush of any kind and we can start to brush all of those curls out and give it a much more looser, relaxed, tousled wave into the hair. Sometimes you want to give a little bit more so you can brush out, rather than if you don't curl it enough and you start to brush it out, you may brush most of the curl out and it won't stay in, or it will drop out very, very quickly for the client. So as you can see, we have a really beautiful finish on this look. We hope that you enjoyed this haircut, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.